There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a special stream here where we're taking a look at Evil Hot Games' new awesome book called Improv for Gamers. For those who don't know who I'm Eric. I'm Eric Vulgaris, and my pronouns are he or they.
Hey, I'm Kika. Um, my pronouns are she, her, and you can find me at twitter.com/KikaVO.
Hello, I am Karen 12s. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on Twitter at K12s. It's like the number 12, but spelled out with an S. It's my real name.
For realsy reals. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns, and you can find me at Sean Nittner pretty much everywhere.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to let Karen take it away here to talk about.
Okay. So when I first started taking improv classes, which was like 10 years ago, which is wild because it feels like not that long, and then I feel really old. It really blew me away, the overlap of like useful storytelling skills. And I was like, oh my God, why aren't there more classes? Like, where has this been all my life? First of all, because I've already been gaming since high school, and like this is already super useful. And why isn't there more of it that's like just for role players? So I stewed on that for a little while and didn't do anything, and then was in a particularly bad game, as I'm sure we've all been in. And I came out of it kind of grumbling, and I turned to Sean and was like, I need to just run an improv class for gamers, don't I? And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. I was like, fine, I'm going to do it. And I started teaching these workshops. And along with some other friends of mine, Mia Blankensop and Matthew Klein, we put together the first like Improv for Gamers workshop. And then since expanded it to ones that are more focused on GMs as well, and also LARPers. And because I used to also teach, I wrote out these very detailed lesson plans, which is just my style.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like the scripts for like how I was going to introduce everything and all these notes for myself. And people asked me like after the workshops, like, hey, could I have your notes? I was like, no, you don't want these. These are written for me and they only make sense to me and they're a mess. You don't want these. And but people kept kind of asking. And so I thought, okay, well, what if I made a book of like a collection of most of these exercises? And I pitched it to Evil Hat, and they said, yeah, we'll publish it. And I was like, oh shit, all right. So I had to rewrite everything I'd ever written, actually, because I wasn't writing it to me anymore. I was writing it to other people. Yeah.
That is such a hard thing to do, honestly.
It was a big thing. And and my editor, Joshua Yearsley, who is fantastic, I had like submitted him kind of what I had thought was mostly ready to go. And he said, not really. And I took it back, and I took like 3 months, and I rewrote the whole thing, and I submitted it again. I was like, cool, what do you think? And he's like, oh, wow, this is like a whole different book. I'm like, yeah, it's because I rewrote the whole thing. And now it's a book. And I'm very excited because I really wanted to make the workshops more accessible, because I was teaching them mostly at conventions, and conventions are expensive, and improv classes in general are expensive. You know, maybe you can go to a one-off class and it'll cost you $10 to $50, which, you know, it gets up there for a single class. And so I was really excited to make this book because it's $20. It has almost everything that was in the workshops, kind of laid out in a way that peeps can pick it up and play at any point with their friends, like in your living room.
Yeah.
So you don't have to. It's a very low barrier of entry.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So I'm just super excited about that, because I think that it's something that people talk about a lot, and there's lots of great conversation already about like how improv works for people. And I'm really excited to be able to bring in more like practical practice of like, and here's some improv exercises for you, the gamer. So we can move past like talking about it. because I'm sure that we've all talked about it or heard about it or listened to like great podcasts and read some other great books about it. How about you guys? Like, what is your general experience so far with the word improv? Because I think it means different things to different people in the gaming community too.
Totally. I'll start.
Yeah.
So my experience with improv is limited. However, I have been adjacent to the improv's actors throughout the gaming circles of my years of gaming. I've known people who have run in the Seattle area. Not only are they part of like improv comedy groups, I know one that competes in competitive improv.
Oh, damn. That is
Comedy sports,
tough.
I think is what it's called.
Comedy sports is a very specific skill that is it looks so easy and it is not.
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing but respect for comedy sports peeps.
Yeah, it seems incredibly hard. But yeah, so I keep running into people. And most recently, I met another friend who is also part of an improv group. And she always talks about just how much she's able to fall back on improv skills for whenever she is facilitating or running a game. And I'm just so impressed all the time by what she comes up with, and just how maybe not so much how she comes up with it, but more like just her ability to deliver it. Almost like the conveyance is that sort of skill, as well. Like that sort of it doesn't look like you're sitting there thinking all the time. Like that ability to just glide, and it looks very smooth and polished. That polish is noteworthy. I'm very envious of her. Of that ability.
It's like that confidence in your spontaneity. You're not thinking too much about it, and you're delivering things with a confidence.
Yeah, confidence.
You thought about it.
Yeah, that's way better than my word salad. Confidence of delivering. Yeah, thank you.
Kika, how about you?
I have next to no experience with improv whatsoever, besides like a couple one-off exercises at like camp.
With that one, that totally counts. And two, I mean, it's I don't know, maybe it's too hacky to say. I think gaming is just improv sitting down, and LARPing is just improv without an audience. And it is exactly the same skill. You're being a very on spot storyteller collaboratively. I think that it's easier because there's not this audience and this expectation of doing things immediately. You get to have all of these great opportunities to catch your breath and think about things and go back and retcon. You have all these fun safety tools so you can negotiate things, as the content works for you, which you don't have on the stage as much. There's a lot less safety net. You have to build a lot of trust with the people that you get on stage with. And that's, that's why you have troops that you work with over and over again, because so those people, which is a very different dynamic than like the peeps you sit down with for a one shot.
I've seen some shows where I felt like, oh, it would be nice if they had a way to be like, X card that. But
I saw it once. You know how it is? It's literally an improviser going, "We are not going there," and someone cuts the scene. That is how you do it. And I was so excited that they did, because there was some content. I won't like retell a story that I barely remember. But yeah, the improviser just was like, "No, friend, no." And somebody else off sides, you often have other people whose responsibility it is to cut your scenes, to edit them. And they just they ran across the stage, and that means the scene is over and we're going to start a new one. And that was it.
Okay.
Like that was how they X-carded that scene. They just completely ended it and trashed it and never came back.
It's a good choice sometimes.
Sure.
It worked.
My experience in improv is I've seen a lot of improv, and I've been very impressed with, especially the characters that manage to play with status games. I've seen lots of people. I feel like in a lot of role-playing games, there's sort of there can be like people are trying to jockey for status. In improv specifically, I've watched people specifically come in with lower status and change and shift, and that's been really exciting to watch and try and implement sometimes. And And of course, I've taken a few of Karen's workshops that have all been fantastic. I took one earlier today, even. So
Yeah.
I'm warmed up.
Well, perfect, because Keek and I are not warmed up, and then you could help maybe guide us.
Yeah. Well, we
Be
can
the-
totally do.
the
We
star
can do
stupid.
some quick
people.
and easy warmers. So most of the things that I do in the workshops are like group games. You know, our group
Yeah.
theater exercises. There's not a ton of pressure on performance, and I find it really important to stress that it is a different application, because there's not an audience in the way that there is in improv theater of people sitting back being like, cool, entertain me, I've had 2 beers. You know, that's a very different thing than everyone at the table is invested in this together. So I really try to not stress that there's any need to uh, feel like you need to be funny or interesting, um,
Mhm.
or have like a lot of performance anxiety. So we do a lot of group games. A lot of these come from the greats of improv, of like Viola Spolin and Keith Johnstone, and other ones have just come from the miasma of improv and other troupes and classes and things that I've done over the years. So a classic warm up that I really enjoy is a category game, and it's called Three Things. I find most improv games have a very simple naming convention, where they are the thing that you say a lot or the first line of the exercise, something like that. Um, and there's a weird thing on chat right now. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Banned.
so Three Things is a category game. And I used to actually play it when I taught ESL, because it was actually a great way to review anything, any type of vocabulary. And it's a great way to get past that inner critic, which is that, you know, the voice in your head that's telling you that that's a bad idea. You should keep thinking until you find the right idea. And because there is so much spontaneity in improv, and you want to have that confidence of, I'm going to say a thing and I have not planned it, but it's going to be great. And part of the expectation that it's going to be great is the enthusiasm of the other people in your group. And that's that the kind of yes and that you hear as the biggest improv rule is which is really goes beyond just literally saying the words yes and, which you can, but it's more of a mindset of, I'm going to be very enthusiastic to hear your ideas and then use those ideas in the larger story and like make them work. So part of the yes is being a very enthusiastic listener and responding with positivity to people's ideas. And to back up just a little bit, as I was talking about before about like the safety net when you work with people in improv, you know, we have these great collaboration tools in gaming because we may not know these people quite as well. We may be exploring like deeper, heavier topics. So you want to be able to have a good layer of trust of the content, the ideas that you're going to offer other people are appropriate to the setting, or, you know, to the game or the audience, and are something that you think will fly in that case. Like because we don't have an X card in improv, you want to kind of think a little bit of like, is this an X cardable type of content? So there's that trust of, I want my ideas to be appropriate so that people are actually enthusiastic. I'm not taking advantage of the yes and rule. It's not like a blank check to just say whatever.
Right?
I've talked
It's not go for it and be gross.
yeah. Yeah. Like that's, I think, you know, yes and it can be really exploitable in that way. And it happens in every level 1 class. People get very excited and they completely lose their filter, and then they really go off the rails. So anyway, so Three Things is a category game. So the way it would work is I would call out somebody else in the group. So I might say, hey, Eric, what are 3 things? And I'm going to just give a random category. Like,
Sure.
what are 3 things that you could put in your hat? And I want you to just list any 3 things that come to mind.
Sure. a turnip,
Mm-hmm.
an iguana,
Mm-hmm.
and a newspaper.
Fantastic. And after that, everybody says 3 things. And I like doing this hand gesture. This is kind of part of it. I don't know why, but that's how I learned it. And it's a great way to like punctuate and get really excited physically. Um, so I encourage us all after those things to say more or less at the same time. There's sync and lag and what have you with video, but to say 3 things.
Let's try it. Yeah.
3
things.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's really whatever comes to mind. We're trying to get past that inner critic of like, ooh, what's the funniest, like most interesting, most creative idea, and just list 3 things that make sense. So Eric, now you can call on somebody else and give a completely different category.
Is it still about categories of things in hats or things in something else? Or
Yeah, good question. Any category about anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, could you please give me give me 3 fruits?
Strawberries, watermelons, and turnips. 3 things.
3 things.
Awesome.
Kika, what are 3 things that are on your desk right now?
Keys, a knife, and floss.
3
things.
Eric, 3 things that would look cute in a 3-piece suit.
Sean, Karen, and Kika.
3
things.
Yeah, let's keep going a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karen.
Yes.
What are your? Or let's go with it's hard when I have to think about it immediately now.
Oh no.
I know. 3 colors.
Absolutely. There is puce, there is magenta and blue.
3 things.
Sean, what are 3 things that you wouldn't want to step on?
Oh, a slug, a nail, and a dead person.
3 things.
Kika, what are 3 things that penguins do?
Waddle, swim, eat fish.
3 things.
Karen, what are 3 things that you don't want to get wet?
Oh, my hair most of the time. A gremlin, maybe. I never saw the movies. And a large expandable thing that expands with water. 3 things.
3 things.
Cool. So how did that feel for you guys?
I realize I should have been preparing more on the spot instead of listening. I feel like I have to like prime myself for questions.
Yeah, there's that you can get lost in listening to everybody else. And sometimes some people do need a little bit more time to prepare, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
I love when because oftentimes like the first answer is something really obvious, the second answer might be slightly adjacent, and then the third thing is way out there because your brain has run out of like readily available ideas. And so often the third thing is really exciting because it is super random. So
I like that all of these answers are always right. It doesn't matter whether or not those are like whether or not a turnip is a fruit or not.
Yeah.
It's not a fruit. But it's okay because in the context of the game, it's just encouraging us to like try things, say things and try it and say them confidently, even if they're and they're always right, no matter what it is.
Yeah. You just say it with confidence. Everybody is very excited to accept those ideas because we're just super excited about yelling 3 things. So I like that game. I can play it forever because I love also hearing other people's answers because they're often there's 2 things. One, it's very satisfying when somebody says a thing that you were thinking of. Did that happen for anybody else?
Yeah, Sean mentioned strawberries, which was that.
Mhm.
That was the first one I was thinking of with fruits.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like the turnip fruit's my favorite.
So that's always super satisfying, and then it's also like delightful to be surprised by other people's answers. So I mean, both of those things are great. One, when you have something that is familiar to you and you're like, oh yeah, we're in sync. And also when other people just bring like really cool ideas to the table that you never would have thought of.
Kika, did you say bees on your desk?
Peas.
Oh, peas.
Peas.
Okay, well, I thought I heard bees, and I was like, bees.
Are you okay?
Sure. Both of those things.
Yes, both of those things are good, but
That would be surprisingly
I
on
guess
brand.
I'm glad that there are not actual live bees. Someone else heard Roger Twee heard bees too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
not alone.
I'm also a fan of bees.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
really basic.
Nice.
That's just a really basic warmer that I love doing. There's another kind of related game that's also kind of word association a little bit more. That's called Convergence. That is a ton of fun, and that is another one where you're hoping that maybe you land on the same thing at the same time and you get in sync. So it's a really fun exercise to feel really connected with each other. And I like it for the kind of gaming idea of just having buy-in and being on the same page. One, it's very satisfying, when people at the table are thinking the same thing as you, and like your plots get like deliciously entwined. But it's also just kind of a fun theater exercise. So the way Convergence works when we're playing online like this is one person will think of a word and they're going to say the word one. And another person is going to think of another word and they're going to say the word two. And then, as best as we can, those two people are going to say 1, 2, 3, and then shout out a word. And then we'll see what that word is. And then we'll move on from there. So the first round is kind of a wild card. We're just going to come up with two completely random words.
But the third word we say is we're trying to think of the word that's in between those two, right?
Yeah, that's the next round.
Sorry.
I'm trying to walk us into it.
Okay.
All right.
So the way it plays, yeah. So the first round, it's just two completely random words. So the first person out of the four of us who has an idea for a completely random word is going to say the word one.
What?
Okay, and the next person who has a random word is going to say two.
Two.
Awesome. So now the both of you will say 1, 2, 3, and then shout out your word.
1,
2, 3.
Starship.
Pop-Tart.
Cool. I heard Pop-Tart. Sean, what was yours?
Starship.
Starship. Pop-Tart and Starship. So now all of us are going to think about what is the word between those two. What do we think about when we associate both Pop-Tart and Starship? And if someone thinks of that word, and it's whatever makes logical sense to you is the right answer. Whoever has a word says 1, the next person says 2. You say 1, 2, 3, and you say it again, and you both blurt out your word. Pop-Tart and Starship is exciting. I have to think about that. Okay, I got one.
I got
one. Oh,
Two.
okay. 1, 2, 3. Flying
Nyan cat.
toaster. We're there. We're almost there. So you said non-cat.
Flying toaster and what?
Flying toaster.
Flying toaster and Nyan cat.
Nyan cat. Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of the old screensaver. The flying toaster.
Right. 1.
I have to think about it. 2. 1, 2, 3.
Memes.
Meme. Ah!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes!
There's a reason why we're married.
Okay.
And that's how you win the game, is you say the same word at the same time. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes you circle and get super close. And that's also really great because it just shows that you're on the same page. But sometimes you do say the same word at the same time, which is really exciting. So now we'll just start over. And again, we'll have 2 totally random words, and we'll see if we can converge again.
1.
2.
1,
1,
2,
2,
3.
3.
Wallet.
Pigeon.
I heard pigeon and
Wallet.
wallet. Pigeon and wallet. 1.
2.
1, 2, 3. Dirty. I said dirty.
I said
What did you say?
feather.
Feather. Okay. 1.
2.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Quill.
Mites. What did you say?
Quill.
Quill? I said mites.
Gross.
You have
Okay.
dirty feathers. Mites.
Yeah. No, it's good. No, it's
No,
awesome.
quill is great. I like quill. Okay.
1.
2.
1, 2, 3.
Ink.
Basement.
So I heard ink and
Basement.
basement. Cool. Ink and basement.
1.
2.
Okay. 1, 2,
2,
3.
3. Writing.
What
Okay,
was
we're
it?
getting close.
We're getting close. Writing and paint, I think.
Yeah.
Writing and paint.
1.
Okay.
2.
1, 2,
2, 3.
Calligraphy.
Oh, so
See, now we're at brush and calligraphy.
And brush?
brush and calligraphy.
I was thinking brush.
Oh. Okay.
1. 1.
2.
2. Okay.
Okay. 2.
No, you do it, Eric. You
Okay.
go.
1,
2,
2,
3.
3.
Letter.
Pen. Oh, letter and pen.
We just keep bouncing off the implement and what's being written.
So close.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
All right, 1.
It was letter and pen were the 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, letter and
Mhm.
pen.
2. 1, 2, 3. Stationary.
Correspondence.
Ah. Stationary and correspondence.
1.
2. 1,
1, 2.
2, 3. Mail.
Hey! We did it! Yay!
Nice.
Yes! And then we normally end it. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, you want to end on the high note.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't happen, which is frustrating, but like you get so close. You have so much fun, like anticipation.
Oh, yeah.
But I love that game because it's also a great kind of warm up, and it makes you feel like really in sync with other peeps. How did that feel to you
Yeah.
all?
That was extremely fun just to do. Like, for fun.
Yeah,
Like, I could just do that, like, at a bar with a friend.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that at a bar with other improvisers. But yeah,
Yeah.
just because we all happened to know how the game was played. But then Sean sat down and we were like, Sean, we're playing a game.
Yeah, I remember just being like, with a bunch of improvisers. I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, this is just a game. Sure, I could play games, and yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
such
I
an
mean,
important part of the mindset. Sorry.
Oh no, I want to hear your thought on that.
I think just the willingness to be like, this is a game. Games are supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I could do fun. I can do that.
I could game.
And just that I can game. I could do a game.
Yeah.
That sort of like
Form
mindset
task
of
fun.
yeah.
We can all do a game. Yeah, and so much of improv games, you know, often the ones that we see are the performative ones like comedy sports, which are very exciting, but also I mean, do require a lot of skill, because they are also like acting theatrical games. Whereas a lot of the ones that you actually play like in classes are these skill-based games that are like, we're going to practice brainstorming. That's three things. We're just going to practice like brainstorming without the fear of our ideas being shunned, or convergence is we're just going to practice thinking of the same thing at the same time. It's a fun word association game for bonding.
Mm-hmm.
And you just play that for group unity, and also just for kind of like free association of ideas, so that you are more comfortable just saying the thing that comes up as opposed to worrying about the right answer. Because eventually we found it. Eventually we magically said the same word, and it'll just happen if you kind of don't worry about making it happen. So
It's
yeah,
also fun to see how like
Mhm.
sometimes we kept on getting really, really close, but it's also neat when it like sometimes just like goes wildly off and then you have to come back around again. It's
There was there's a friend of mine who said like sometimes you have to go out to get in, because when we would start circling, she would just throw in something random. She would like intentionally, her word would be way wild, so we could kind of like recalibrate.
Yeah, new approach.
smart.
Yeah,
Like, banana.
recalculating.
Yeah, and it's great to get past that idea of having the most interesting choice, and then again just saying the most obvious, because there's so much pressure to be smart and funny and interesting, and it's very noticeable when people are trying very hard to be smart and funny and interesting. And it's so much better and a lot less pressure if you just try to let those things happen organically, and like don't hold yourself to such a high performative standard. So I want to try something that I haven't done online, but I want to see how it works, because I think it's kind of similar, um, in terms of kind of a group brainstormy thing. Normally, this is a very physical exercise, which a lot of improv is, but I've really been enjoying streaming to just show and discover how much of this works online, and without a lot of physical movement. So it's a game called I'm a Tree, and it's making kind of just like little vignettes of three things that fit together. And normally one would do it, we would kind of have a circle of people, and one person goes into the center of the circle, and they kind of make a physical pose that looks like a tree. This is my very realistic physical approximation of a tree. You can tell.
I don't know who you are right now. I think you're just a tree. Like,
Yeah, I know. What
It's
happened?
very
to
arboreal.
the tree? And so the first line is always I'm a tree. And then somebody else will come in and add another element that it will somehow be related to the tree. So they're going to add something to the tree. That could be I'm a squirrel, I'm an apple, I'm the wind going through the tree, I'm a person reading underneath the tree. So does anybody have an idea of something that they could add to my tree?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm the snow on its branches.
Ooh, I love that. I've not heard that one before. That's so great. So one other person now is going to jump in to finish this out. And so you're going to bring something that relates to one or both of those things to add to our snowy tree.
I'm the homeowner knocking the snow free so it doesn't fall on my house.
Awesome. So if we were playing this, in the same physical space, we would all be kind of jumping into the circle and like holding a pose. It's a fun way to, feel that you're doing it. I encourage you to still do the pose in your own space. So since I started, I'm going to decide who I'm going to take with me out of the scene. So I'm going to take the homeowner. And so we are going to leave the tableau. We are leaving Eric. So you're going to start a new tableau with the same object that you just were, which was snow. So you would start again with the statement, I am the snow.
Okay. So then I am the snow.
Yeah. So now we'll add in new things. I am a snowman. This is my snowman.
I am a carrot nose.
Awesome. So Eric, you decide who you are going to take with you out of the tableau.
Okay. I'm going to take the carrot nose with me.
Awesome.
Out of the scene.
Yeah. So I am a snowman.
I am the early spring sun melting the snowman.
No! It's so good.
That is good.
I am a kid packing the last snowball.
I'm going to take the kid. And so Kika, you can say again, what are you?
I am the early spring sun.
I love it.
I am spring's first flowers.
Oh my God.
I'm a kid picking the first flower to smell it.
I love it. So Kika, you get to decide who you're going to take with you.
I'm gonna take the flower.
Yeah.
I am a kid picking a flower and smelling it.
I am the slingshot in the back of your pocket.
I'm the bee that wants that flower.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the slingshot.
Okay.
I'm a bee.
Oh, I am your pollen sacs on your legs, which I think is where they go. I don't know. That's where they go. I'm going to say it with confidence. That's where they go.
Biz.
I am the bzzz noise.
All right, I'm taking the pollen sacs.
I am bzzz noise.
I am a dog startled by the noise.
Ooh. Oh no. I am actually I don't have an idea. I'm gonna step back for a second.
I'm the dog house that the dog lives in.
Brilliant.
Yes. I'm going to take the dog.
I'm a dog house.
I'm someone in trouble.
Oh. I am your lingering guilt.
I'm taking someone in trouble.
Okay, I'm gonna just end it there.
Yeah.
Because I could play this for an hour.
Yeah, that's fun.
How did it feel? What was fun about it for you?
I could clearly after it's amazing how it just takes 3 things to get such a good mind picture in my head.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing that I love so much about it. It's just how easy it is. Like I totally get what's going on. I can see it in my mind's eye. What's going on with the 3 elements.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the physical gesticulation, even though like even we're just like on camera, we still captured it so well. Like you could totally tell what people are going for with their motions, and I feel like we took like simple ideas and then expanded on them, which is really neat. Like you take like the most basic kind of cliche thing, and then we ventured from there, and it only took a little 3-part piece to do that, which is great.
Yeah, I really like that the second or the third element started introducing a story seed.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all, because we're all natural storytellers, because we're role play gamers. So like there was always a hook in there of like, ooh, a thing. I want to follow that.
I'm gonna turn that into a story.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that into a story. I also like the kind of easy come, easy go that you will leave some things, and that kind of falls into again, I love all of these calibration tools, but there absolutely is some anxiety about using them. And so getting into the mood of it's okay to strike things is sometimes a hard one to get into, but a really important one of like, it's okay to just be like, no, I'm gonna take that out. And so there's something about this game of tapping into it of like, it's okay to just like take that out and build with this other element. That's really fun.
And I love how things get recontextualized, so that what something was in the first story is not the same as it is in the next one. And so we keep we get these vignettes that are not really connected, but sort of, they have a spiritual connection to one another, one element.
Yeah. So the other thing that I like to do is expand this into what I call genre tree, and which is really working more towards the gamer mindset of buy-in. And the idea being, you want to have group buy-in to the expectations of what this game is about. And genre is kind of the first thing that you need buy-in for. If you're all doing a dark and gritty Western, like maybe somebody who decides that they want to have a lot of wacky gadgetry is like not 100% playing the same game.
This happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
My winged were-tiger.
My winged were-tiger. And it's like, it's okay. And like, sure, we could make that work. We absolutely could. But it is easier when everyone is on board with the same setting idea. So you're just, you're doing your fellow gamers a service when you show your buy-in to adding to the thing that is already there, as opposed to bringing in the wild card.
Yeah.
So genre tree is the same thing, except we set a genre first, and then you play it a couple times through as well. So we could pick any type of classic game genre. I mean, high fantasy, sci-fi, space opera, Western, cyberpunk. What types of games are you all playing right now? I'm playing just a ton of Blades. That's it.
So many Blades.
So much Blades.
High fantasy, Western, cyberpunk is really what I'm into right now.
Yeah.
Wait, all three together?
I was joking. I was joking. I've been really in the mindset of Western, actually.
Cool.
Lately.
Well, let's do three things Western. So thinking about, again, one person will come in with a Western element, and we're just going to make these tableaus match that genre. So Eric, what's a good Western element if you have a thought?
Cattle drives.
What?
Cattle drives.
I love that I lean forward, like that would actually help me hear this.
It's coming through your headphones. Yeah.
So you're a cattle drive. Ooh, I am all of the dust brought up by the cattle.
I am a rancher cracking a whip.
I love it. So Eric, who will you take?
Yeah. I'm going to take the dust, leaving the rancher cracking a whip.
Yeah.
I am a rancher cracking a whip.
I'm your wife saying come home safe.
I feel like
bail me out here. Yeah. Someone please add a thing.
I'm the looming storm clouds in the distance.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to take the wife. Leave the storm clouds.
All right. I'm the storm clouds looming in the distance.
I am the lost traveler staring at the oncoming storm.
Ooh, I am the reed of straw in your mouth.
Nice.
Cool. I'm going to take the reed of straw.
Cool.
The lost traveler staring off into the distance.
Ooh, I am the majestic sunset that's definitely not Italy.
I am the glint of your badge, barely visible.
Oh, I like that.
I'm going to take the sunset.
Cool.
Nice.
I am the glint of a badge.
I'm your holster of a gun on your waist.
I'm your one last job.
Nice.
of taking this varmint to jail.
I'll take the holster and leave one last job.
Cool. I'm going to pause and suggest that we start a new genre.
Yeah, this is cool.
Nice.
So what would be another fun genre for us to explore?
Pulp
Jake, what are you
noir.
playing in these days? Noir.
Pulp
nice.
noir? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with the same thing because that is so pulp noir.
One last.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll go from there. So I am just one last job.
I'm the briefcase full of money.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm the stranger that it's handcuffed to.
Oh, so good.
I'm going to take the stranger. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm a briefcase full of money.
I'm a big shot businessman making you an offer you can't refuse.
Ooh, I'm the shadows across your face that look like the bars of a prison cell.
That's awesome. I'm taking the Windows cell lighting.
Nice.
Right. I'm a big shot businessman making you an offer you can't refuse.
I'm the businessman's dead wife in your trunk.
Oh shit. Oh, I am the incriminating handkerchief that will pop up at some point later.
Nice.
That is good.
I'm gonna take the dead wife in the trunk.
All right. I am an incriminating handkerchief.
I'm a woman on the street who needs her cigarette lit.
Mm.
I'm the heavy downpour.
Oh, I'm going to take the woman and leave the heavy downpour. I like that a lot.
I'm the heavy downpour.
Oh, God.
So heavy.
I am the reflection of the streetlights on the sidewalk.
Ooh, I am all the wet newspapers.
Oh, so good.
Nice. I'm taking the streetlight reflection, leaving the newspapers.
Okay. I'm a pile of wet newspapers. It's less
Big
exciting
mood.
on its own.
Yeah.
It's great. It's perfect.
I'm the newsie chucking yet another newspaper into the pile.
Yeah.
I am the stolen merchandise hidden under the pile of wet newspapers.
Oh, good.
I'm going to take the newsie.
So I am stolen merchandise hidden.
I am the detective trying to crack the case of the stolen merchandise.
I'm your perfectly ironed white pants.
Kika, you started. Which are you going to take?
I'm taking the detective.
Nice.
I am perfectly.
I'm going to end it there.
Okay.
Cool.
Just because again, it's another game that I could play forever. How did that feel, especially in comparison to the first round when we didn't have genres?
I felt strong, like more confident about it, or stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I felt
like
it really informed the choices easily. You're like, oh, there's so much to draw from knowing the genre.
Yeah, when
Exactly.
you set the limits of your sandbox, it's actually a lot easier to play in it once you know what the parameters are.
That's exactly what I would have said.
2 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that other people added something that just felt really right. I was like, oh yes, that's so genre specific. I love it. So that was really fun. And I think that's both of those I think are great exercises to get people all on board with what you're imagining in a scene and in the genre in general. And I'm going to do a shout out a little bit to Kira's game Sync that is still in development because she does an amazing thing as part of the setting establishment, the world building of it is asking everybody like, what do you imagine when you hear the word cyberpunk? Because it can mean a lot of things to different people.
Yeah.
So everyone shouts out kind of the different things that they think about, and each person kind of adds that one thing, and that helps you center your cyberpunk genre. So maybe it is, neon lights underneath heavy rain. Or maybe it's super slick synth pop. Or maybe it's both.
Or it's class warfare.
Exactly. It's class warfare.
Yeah. The next session, like 0 for like campaign thing that I do, I'm absolutely using that. This is a great tool. It's a fun little game to do.
That's exactly what I want to see happen.
Yeah, like that sounds so. That's like So right now, I'm gonna tell you what I'm replacing it. Like I had a tool. I was just using a microscope palette beforehand to do this, but this is way more fun. This is frankly, it's way better.
Yeah,
I think there's so many great improv games that can just be slipped in really subtle at a table to do brainstorming like this.
I think like this compared to say palette, because I've used that too, is like when you say like, okay, what do we want or what do we don't want, you might say a thing and then not really be 100% sure of it, or like you kind of have to get it out of your mouth before you actually know. And I think like I'm a tree is great because you're like, I'm this, and you're like, nah, never mind, I don't like that, or I want to change it. It's not it's not a heavy commitment. It's just an idea. Like throw it out there, see what people think. If everyone's like, yes, I love it, you're like, cool, let's keep it. Otherwise, think of something else.
Exactly. Yeah, like as much as you can reduce the pressure on idea generation, both of like, I'm excited for whatever you have to say, and also if you decide that doesn't work, it's gone. Like it's also just as easy to strike things.
Yeah.
Nothing is written in permanent ink. But we're just all excited about making something together.
Yeah, it's like
Invisible Sun.
Mm-hmm.
So like 0.
For surreal stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not as familiar. I've been hearing so much about it, but I'm not as familiar with that game.
It's a surreal fantasy game where everything's very dreamlike. And in session 0, you sort of collaboratively make your characters' neighborhoods. Like you make your house, and then 2 other players make your neighbors and stuff. And you end up just all together building the world as a group.
I forget the name of the author, but it does a really good job of recreating that sort of, like the hidden world of magic that exists, as a layer and facet to ours. But like what that means and what's in that world could really it could be so broad and weird that having those sort of like these games to help you form stars to help you navigate through it in terms of the content and stuff seems really good.
Yeah. It's Monty Cook, right?
Yeah, it's Monty Cook. Yeah, but I'm trying to think of the
writer,
fictional author that represents those novels. Like there's like a series of novels. I just it's on the tip of my tongue, but whatever.
Yeah, I think buy-in is so important, and just everybody having similar expectations about what the game is and what you can expect to the type of stories that you're hoping to tell. I love games like this where you just center everybody and get everyone imagining the same things.
Oh. Real quick, I was to say shout out to Unmade Gaming. Thank you, everybody. Hey, we're talking about improv games. We're talking about improv games and role playings and how they could be fun tools and games to play. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, yeah.
So I want to. I don't know if people need a break. I'm ready. I can always keep going. I have way too much energy.
I am ready.
Cool.
Yeah,
so there's another game that I really enjoy that's about making an ensemble cast, which is appropriate for gaming, and making a well-rounded party. And I mean it's not just I feel like there's often a stigma attached to the word improv, and I totally get it. There's like a pressure to perform. It's all about being funny, and it's only useful for story games. And I really would like to try to break that down a little bit more of like the more that you practice improv, just the more, as you said, like the more confident you can be in being spontaneous, and the more excited you can be in hearing other people's ideas and making them work. And you just can tap into spontaneous creativity a little bit more. Classic cast is a really fun group exercise of making an ensemble cast that I think just like imprints so well on gaming, because you're making a party, and it can be something that is, equally weighted and distributed. In your dungeon crawl, you want to have somebody that, at least one person that's good at all the different things. So you have a well-rounded party. But when you're also playing more story games, you want characters that all have connecting relationships. So Classic Cast is just an exercise where everybody creates a character in the same setting, and we try to link them to at least one other character. And there's so many games that already have this mechanic, which is amazing. Like Smallville, you make a relationship map. So many of the Powered by the Apocalypse games, you've got HX or strings, or other types of links to other characters. What other ones are there? There's so many other ones. What other games have relationship mechanics or like build?
Well, I immediately think of Fate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do the character interweaving
Aspects.
Yeah.
Story thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on Twitch, Roger Twee says Sorcerer. So and Fiasco has everybody's relationships between.
Yeah. So there's so many games that already build that in. But it's something that's so important in every game, is having everybody have some type of relationship to at least one other person in the group, so that you have a reason to be there and care about things.
Yeah. To build on that, I've also found that also gives you a good chance for your opinion of them, right? Rather than just being like, my opinion is that they're fine, right? There's a sort of like status associated to them, being like, I'm more than them, I'm higher than them, I'm lower than them, kind of thing. When you come up with that stuff,
I love when I get
context.
pre-gens like that at games, like in LARPs or any other like one shot that comes with pre-gens that say, you like this person, you trust this person completely, you think there's something up with that one, you just don't like the look of them. And it gives you this great baseline of how am I going to role play with this person, and it gives you different dynamics with every person, which is great because now you have a variety of tones that you can take with different people, just as we do in life.
Yeah.
So Classic Cast I also love because it's another game that involves saying the same thing at the same time and making hand gestures, because I really love those games. So what we'll do is we'll establish a setting. So that could be, it could be slice of life, small town, or it could be cyberpunk, or it could be Western, and or it could be a space station. And we're going to think of where are all these characters going to be together. And so, you can think about, again, like the name of Fiasco settings, a small southern town, stuff like that. So where do we want to set our characters? I'm seeing you like
excited.
High school drama.
Yes.
High school drama. Nice.
High school drama. I love it. So now we are each going to, the first person is a little different, as always. The first person is going to introduce themselves and hopefully give a name, but you could also just give your archetype of I'm the quarterback, or you could say I'm Chet the quarterback, whatever works.
Sure.
And one or two facts about yourself. So let's start with that one first. So who has an idea for our high school drama, a character? I think Kika definitely got one.
I'm Chaz the Stoner.
Cool.
4.0 GPA and a little sister.
I love it. So now someone else is going to come in and give some type of link to Chaz the Stoner.
I'm Veronica, the cheerleader, and I get my pot from Chaz, but I try to not let anybody know that we hang out.
Cool. So now, Eric, one of us can come in and we can link with either Chaz the Stoner or Veronica the cheerleader.
Okay, I think I got it. I'm going. All right. I'm Linus. I'm in the band. I play the trombone, and I have a crush on Veronica.
Awesome. I'm going to, because we mentioned this person and why leave them as an NPC when we can make them a PC. I am Terry. I am Chaz's little sister. I think Chaz is the greatest.
And then we end with
Yeah, so now we all say classic cast and we do little jazz hands. So we all say classic
Classic.
cast and do little jazz
That's so
hands.
classic. That cast is so classic.
Yes. Very classic.
How did that feel? I loved our little group.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fun.
It is
Again-
fun.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every time someone makes a relationship with you, they sort of establish you, cement you more in the setting, and make you more real in the world. Like whatever offering you made has been validated by this other person. Like I'm the cheerleader, and then somebody has a crush on me, and I'm like, yeah, So
Yeah.
It's very validating to know that somebody else has heard your idea and is like, yes, I'm going to connect with that one.
I could.
And like, we made characters in like a minute.
Yeah.
yeah,
Go us.
Play this group.
Yeah. Let's go.
yeah, right.
This is good.
Also,
Done.
right.
Welcome to our new game.
We'll be playing every Friday, every Sun, whatever today is. I can't days.
Saturday.
Yeah.
That-
Mhm.
Roger Twee and Chad mentions how this would be super nice for whenever you need to come up with like NPCs and just have a list of people around too.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
quickly generating. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Because NPCs should absolutely have a link to at least one other, PC to make them interesting. Why,
Yeah.
why does this person care?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it one more time. Let's find another setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just based on
Pirate
like,
ship.
pirate ship. Yes. I am.
Modern day or old timey?
Age of Sail.
Yeah. Let's see.
I am Captain Varnock, looking out at the turbulent sea ahead, calling out to the sailors to carry on.
I am First Mate Griswold. I've seen everything, and I've always been by the captain's side, and I believe that every person deep down will betray you.
I'm Horatio. I serve under Griswold as a scout, and I am up in the crow's nest with the glass looking out for our next target.
Nice.
I am Yarvin, who is sneaking up behind Griswold with a knife because I'm secretly a privateer.
Oh shit. Well, that sounds like another
Classic
cast.
cast. So good, so classic.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, I like that game a lot. I think it's just such a fun way to, again, like genre tree, like get everybody on board, so to speak, with a pirate ship.
Yeah, and it just keeps somebody from playing their own entire different game.
Right.
Here's my character with their whole story and all the stuff, and I don't care about any of you, and I've got my whole agenda, and I'm just gonna interact with the GM.
Yeah.
And now we're playing two different games because everyone else is connected and you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did that feel to everyone else?
Oh, that was super fun. Yeah. It felt good for me. Once again, it feels like once we get started, like whoever has to do that first plunge into making a character, then all of a sudden it's easy. So
Yeah.
being the first person isn't as easy as going after them.
Yeah.
It's funny because the first person, you don't need to create a relationship, but it does mean you're just like a blank canvas. You're like, okay, we have a setting, we have a genre rather, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's both very daring to be the first one in these types of exercises, but often you don't have as much work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to make a link. You just get to be validated by other people's ideas, which is a ton of fun. And then everyone gets to make jazz hands. So actually, so there's a great exercise that I love doing with my troops when we like kind of after we've done, like if we're going to do a show, you know, you meet a little bit beforehand, you play some games like Three Things or I'm a Tree, you know, to get ideas going. And then it's often good to do something that's kind of focusing a little bit more on relationship. And there's a great exercise. It's very scripted. And I often run it in my workshops. And it's also in my book. And it's called You Make Me Feel. And I also like it because it reminds me a lot of how you establish scenes in the very beginning when you want to start a scene like in media res, where you say, okay, there's you and me, and we're at this place and we're doing this thing. And I'm going to just like jump right in by saying the middle line of our conversation. So it's a very scripted game. And maybe I can write the script of it in chat right now so we all can look at it.
Okay.
So you play it in pairs, and the first thing is someone says, you make me feel, and they give an adjective. And the other person does the same thing back. And they say, you make me feel, and another adjective. And so that first person, again, they have, you might say, you make me feel surprised. And the other person could say, you know, you make me feel tired. I mean, it's anything, but it's that first spark of a relationship with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to say, hang on. I'm trying to talk and type. This is very awkward. Don't look at me. Wait, you have to. I'm on Twitch. So someone says, you are my adjective, relationship, and name. You are my fussy babysitter, Sally. And the other person is going to say the same thing back. And you know, part of that yes-anding and listening is that you're going to give the obvious other half to that pair. You know, so if someone said, you are my babysitter, then the other person is going to say, you are, you know, my infuriating kid I babysit, Stuart.
Yeah. This reminds. Sorry.
No, I want to hear. What did you?
It just makes me think of the convergence game.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're kind of just matching each other a little bit and kind of coming up with maybe the obvious opposite to that. So the relationship, I mean, if somebody said like, you are my, you know, kindly grandmother, Ursula, and then the other person says, you are my go-getting gym trainer, Stu. Like, those are two awesome things. You might not see a grandmother and a gym trainer, but we can totally make it work. Like, we can. So there's not really like a super wrong answer, but the more that we listen and give kind of the obvious other puzzle piece, it's just a little bit easier. Because again, we're not trying to be the most interesting and exciting. That's not the
just trying to get fit because she has a family history of dementia and
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like, we can justify the hell out of it and make it work. But the point of the exercise is not to be the most interesting. The point of the exercise is just to kind of set up a scene. And so I feel it's very important to specify like what muscle are we stretching in each exercise, because there's so much to do and it's so hard to keep it all in your head. And so it's really okay to kind of like let the other things go that you're supposed to always be doing and just focus on one thing in this like skill practice. So so the next thing is one person says, we are at a location.
Okay.
And then the next person is going to drill that down a little bit and say, so someone could say, we are at the zoo. And the next person is going to say, we are at the birdhouse at the zoo. So like specific to the location.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the zoo today.
Yeah.
No way.
Cool.
Where were you at the zoo? What part of the zoo were you?
Birdcage.
I was actually checking out the birds.
Nice.
What?
Karen.
Convergence. So then the next line is, we are talking about a subject, and it's a subject that's not related to the location. So we're not talking about the birds. We're talking about something else. And then lastly, either we are doing something, or I am doing something, or you are doing an action. And so it's this back and forth. As I wrote this in chat, I realized I should have put in like who's A and who's B.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
We'll
it
figure it
again.
out.
I'll copy paste it and
Oh, thank you,
do
Sean.
A B. Yeah, no problem.
So, and then it kind of is then just like a perfect little scene start. You know, and if you already had the first two exchanges of who you are, then it's just setting up a scene of, okay, we're here and we're going to talk about this thing. And just to throw in a little bit of theater of the mind, one of our characters is physically doing something.
Like, this is a skill, like this kind of miniature game. I could just see someone just slipping in if they like know someone else who knows this game just like, really easily, and to everyone else just at the table, just like if this is a convention, just look at each other and be like, "What the hell was that?" This seems like such a cool technique, if especially if other people could have it, like just a good lingua franca to get in the mindset with somebody.
It's a great skill for just setting up a scene.
Yeah.
As Roger said, the establishing shot, particularly because you have these unrelated things. Because a scene of two fishermen in a fishing boat fishing and talking about the fish, is kind of boring. It doesn't have a lot of things. Whereas if you have like an estranged couple that are stuck on like a work retreat on a fishing boat and are talking about who should get the dog while one person is desperately trying to get cell phone service, there's a lot more like happening, and it's just a lot more dynamic. Cool. Thanks, Sean, for putting that into chat, since I'm not logged into chat because I can't figure out my Twitch login.
It's all good. I forgot that you can't do character turns in Twitch chat, so I should have done them as separate lines, but it's all good. You all can figure it out.
Yeah. So so we can practice this. So who's excited about jumping in and being either A or B? Okay, Eric, you'll be A.
Yeah, I'll be A.
Yeah.
I'll do B.
All right. Kika's gonna be B.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
I might slightly coach you, but it's fine.
No problem. Okay. You make me feel frightened.
You make me feel angry.
You are my okay, I got it. I'm just trying to think of the right adjective.
Don't worry
no,
about
I know. You are my bumbling mentor, Barnabas.
You are my overly arrogant student, Cromwell.
I love these names so hard.
Cromwell.
We're at the Great Cathedral of Canterbury.
We are in the main hall.
We're talking about we're talking about the snowfall.
Yeah. I love it.
You are reorganizing a collection of hymns.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I watched the show. I have watched this show.
Cromwell and Barnabas. You fight crime. I love that. That was so nice and peaceful and fun. So yeah, it's a really great kind of centering exercise, and so I enjoy doing it with my fellow troop members after we've gotten all riled up, to kind of get us back down to like, yes, relationship, location, thing, what is happening in the scene, and you remember those basic things that make up a scene. How did that feel for the two of you? That was amazing. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It seemed like a lot of ideas
yeah.
came very, very easily. Like you guys both tapped into something.
Yeah, we've played a lot before.
It helps that we have.
Well, yeah. And I mean that's the great thing when you work with the same people a lot, is you just can get into sync really well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's so cool to see. It just happens.
Mm-hmm. Sean, I think that means that you and I have to do the next one.
Yeah.
Let's do it. You make me feel self-doubt.
Ooh. You make me feel confident.
You are my effusive wingman, Jerry.
Ooh. You are my best friend. My gregarious best friend, Simon.
We are at a bar.
We are at the pinball machine in the back of the bar.
We are talking about the guy who keeps looking at me.
I am rattling peanuts in my hand.
Nice.
Awesome. That was great.
That is cool.
I like that this game is a lot about the improv term endowing, where you establish a fact about another person as opposed to you, which is such an important skill to have, of being able to accept those endowments, being like, oh, cool, yes, you're right, I am this thing. And I find, it's important to have like the etiquette in gaming to not like declare too many things about another person's character, because you want everyone to have narrative control. Hashtag narrative control. Plug for Sean's old
podcast. Yeah.
Wow. That's
a deep cut. We both been hanging out with Ross too much.
It's funny because Roger Twee earlier, before you said that, Karen was talking about how people talk about my guy and get really focused on my character's cool and they have this magic sword, and I think it is really awesome when you are invested in other people to the point of making declarative statements about their characters, which obviously, like you said, you don't want to overstep, but it's so cool when someone else can is so excited about your character that they want to make something true about them. Like, oh, you did this thing, and and if you don't like it, you can say, nah, I don't think that's me. But if you do, then you're like, yeah, thank you for writing part of my backstory or my personality or something. It's really
there's weird moments when other people can play your character just as well as you can, because they just get that headspace with you.
Totally.
Which we have seen before, Sean.
Hello, our Torchbearer game where Adam can play all of our characters better than we can.
Yeah.
You often talk about offers are the gift of information, and so it's so useful to accept that gift because it's somebody else's idea that you didn't have to think of. And that's great. So you want to be very enthusiastic to receive those gifts. And so endowing, again, there's the trust that people are going to endow you with things that are appropriate and relevant. And when you get endowed with really cool ideas, it's so satisfying and validating. So I like that game a lot.
Roger Tree was asking, what was the name of this game again?
I've always known it called You Make Me Feel.
You Make Me Feel. Okay.
Yeah.
Every improv game is just the first few words of the game.
The first few words of the game.
I am a tree.
Yeah, I'm a tree. You make me feel. Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
people need
well
to
it makes
hear.
perfect sense. It's you state the obvious, so
Yeah.
it's called the first line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just riffing off of that.
Oh, okay. So yes, I love exercises like that are fun pair work. Actually, I taught a workshop earlier today at a theater in Oakland, which was so much fun, and I got to do an exercise that I really enjoy for creating character voices, which is a skill. Um, you want your characters to sound different, and I personally, and this is just my own flag, and I am okay with other people having a different opinion. Um, I am not super for accents because I am not a trained voice actor, and I get really in my head when I try to do a regional accent. And I find that they can be distracting to me when I hear other people trying to attempt an accent and it doesn't hit. And Sean, I love you. I love you so much.
Oh God, I know.
But
When I played mod, it was the worst. You were dying. Everyone was dying. It was so bad. My accents are
your mod accent was so in that Blades game was so bad. And what you guys don't know is that my computer is right here. So whenever Sean is here, I am either on that couch just out of frame. My head is right over there, or I am right here listening. And
yeah, it was the worst.
it was not great. And that's okay. Like we're not all trained voice actors and we don't all have, vocal coaches to like get us to nail those regional accents.
But
there's
Karen,
what?
let's say I'm not very good at accents, but I do want to make my character's voice distinct. How could I do that? Are there any good techniques for that?
There's got to be a better way. There is. Yeah, there's lots of ways that you can change up how you talk to give yourself a different type of voice. And so there's kind of weird exercises that you can do to practice. And then as a GM, you can just like make a list of little reminders of different ways to talk, and you can throw those onto your NPCs, and then you make a little note. So there's just things that you can do with like your pitch, your enunciation, your speed of talking. That can be a very definite character. And so something that is a really good practice is just like have a conversation with another person and practice these different things. So you could be somebody who like puffs out your cheeks a lot when you talk, and you just you do a lot of enunciations out of it, and that's just your character. You just say a lot of p words, and you just find reasons to like give a lot of breath, and that can be your thing. Or you could you could have a character who maybe bites their lower lip a lot, and like what does that make you feel? And so you kind of ask yourself this question of, if this is true, then what else is true? And you unlock a character that way. So if you're a character that bites your lip a lot, how does that make you feel? Like what other things do you associate with that? If you're like this a lot.
Contemplative, or like thinking a lot, like you always are like, yeah, reserved.
Yeah.
Thoughtful.
Yeah,
Thoughtful is the word. Yeah.
Yeah. All of those are great. Yeah. You're very thoughtful. You're contemplative. You take the time to think about things. So how might that reflect your role play in like how you make decisions if you're like this a lot?
I feel like you might not want to accept the first idea that's thrown out. Someone's like, let's charge the door. You're like, think about that a little bit more. Like you might want to chew through things before.
Chew. When you're biting.
Yeah.
Love you. Yeah. So you can do things like that. You could just pitch your voice lower or higher. You could over enunciate, which I like doing a lot. And that's just, again, those are kind of just different ways that you can vocalize a character. You can also be very like monotonous and not really stress anything. You can also just like activate different parts of your face. So maybe, as I said, you puff out your cheeks. You could just kind of look down your nose at people a lot. Tiny little physical changes will change how you are addressing people and will change your character's worldview. So when we think back to like when we were doing classic cast, we kind of had these declarative sentences about ourselves. And it's really important to have a character's worldview, just like the fate, like defining aspect.
Yeah.
There you go. And you'll find those things with how you talk and how you present yourself is going to then maybe unlock how you make decisions, which is like how do you view the world. So if you make too much eye contact, I'll stare into our cameras. If you make way too much eye contact, what types of things do you associate with like a character who makes way too much eye contact? Like how might we describe them with an adjective?
Intense.
Intense. Yeah, they'd be a very intense character. How might they make decisions? They make like way too much eye contact.
How would they make decisions?
Yeah.
Go for like the more extreme harsh
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, the more extreme harsh.
Yeah. I think they might also just like very much go with their gut. Like, I don't trust you, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like just making like judgments about things just from like what do they feel, right? Rather than necessarily whatever is true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely find that these types of physicalizations or just like little facts about your characters are a great way to unlock like, well, what would my character do in this situation? Especially if you're playing a game, if you're not playing a dungeon crawl where obviously like everybody's like motivation is survive. But you might still in the times when you're not in combat, you're making a lot of other decisions, and we like making bad decisions for our characters because it's fun. You might think about like, well, what would my character do if my character always goes for like the most intense and direct decision? What would that be? And so you can kind of find your character through these little ways of finding a voice. Or, just as a quick trick for your NPCs, you can attach something like this NPC blinks a lot. And then that's just the way that you can portray this character slightly different than all of your other characters, because you don't want them to all sound the same. I was in a Monster Hearts game where while it was hilarious, every NPC we ran into sounded like a surfer dude. All of them. The math teacher, the jock, the priest, all of them sounded like a surfer dude.
The priest gave a mega exorcism.
Oh yeah, you're like mega damned and like hilarious, but all of the NPCs sounded the same. So it was like a great choice for one of like, oh yeah, this priest is a surfer dude. Would be like a great association. But you can also just like layer an emotion. It's very easy to always have the crotchety quartermaster or tavern owner, but you can just attach other baseline emotions to NPCs, like peaceful. Maybe you can do positive ones, or bored all the time, or maybe satisfied, or proud. And when you have those types of emotions, we automatically associate different ways of holding your body with that. Like, what does proud look like to you?
Good posture.
Good posture. Yeah.
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 Broad shoulders, stand up straight.
I put my nose up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm very proud. I might not make eye contact when I'm
Yeah, I think you
proud.
kind of look above people. You sort of like look like you're off looking at the horizon or something like that. Like you've got bigger things on your sights.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so all of those things are things to think about, of like ways that you can find a slightly different voice for your character, is through your pitch or your speed, or like physically you change something on your face, or you layer on an emotion, and like boom, new character. I don't know. How much do you guys like GM versus play characters?
I only play characters.
Awesome. Mostly me too. I prefer it.
I mostly GM.
Yeah.
I'm even.
Even? Cool. So Sean, well, I'll ask you this, is like, how do you keep your NPCs separate at all? Do you not worry about it? Do all your NPCs?
No, it's I usually try to think of one thing that they want, or one like it. Jared Sorensen said, pick 3 things about a character, and that's what defines them. Hot heels, bad attitude, and a fast car, right? And so for me, 3 is even too many. If you have a big cast, I'm just like, what's the one thing that this person wants, or one thing that they do? I try to find like one kind of note that they can hit on, and then riff from there. They're not always that same thing, but like when I don't remember when I can't think of what the hell they'd be doing, I try to go back to that like one desire or frequent activity.
Yeah, you want that touchstone.
Yeah.
And once you have the touchstone, you can always go back to it if you feel like you've lost sight of your character. You're like, oh, well, my touchstone is my character is always kind of flinchy. So if I'm presented by some amazing offer from the party that I don't know as a character, like how to respond, just go back to your touchstone a little bit, and you can find yourself. And I think, even at the table, as we've been doing here, just adopting small poses and physicalities really helps you set a memory. I mean, I'm a very kinesthetic learner, so it works really well for me, is associating something with a particular movement or posture. It helps me remember that fact or that character, something about it.
Yeah, definitely. That sort of physical action tying to state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I strongly encourage people to practice talking in weird voices. But,
not accents.
Yeah, not accents. Just change one thing. One weird thing is again another like improv tenet of just have one weird oddball thing. If you have too many, then you just get bogged down with too many weird things.
This one weird trick.
Yeah, this one weird trick doctors hate.
Right.
This suburban housewife discovered one weird trick.
Would you recommend then, like, just, whenever you had, so like, when would you be practicing this? So like, just as an exercise, would it be just like each tweet, like try to reading your tweet in a different like cadence, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or something. Yeah.
Or
an article paragraph.
You could sit down with a friend. You could say, "Hey, friends, I picked up this book, Improv for Gamers, and it suggested that maybe we try practicing some silly voices." And so maybe doing something, with a friend, kind of not offline, but like out of game.
Yeah.
Of like, let's just do this skill practice, because again, like improv is a muscle. And you need to work it out, and you need to focus on which muscle you're working. So sometimes you just have to, do these exercises out of the context of the game, to keep those skills sharp. You can also just monologue to yourself in your car. Not that I do that. No, I don't.
I hear that's what everyone does.
Yeah.
Karen, do you have an exercise that we could do?
Weird silly voices?
Yeah.
We could. Yeah. Do you want to volunteer to do part of it?
Sure.
Okay. Does someone want to be Sean's conversation partner?
I will. I'll be.
Awesome.
I volunteer.
I volunteer. So,
Tribute.
so what normally what I would encourage is for just the two of you to have a conversation, and it can be about anything. It can be about what your week has been like. And then I, as the facilitator, will occasionally jump in and ask you to change something about how you're talking. And what I would like you to do is let that inform a character. If that changes kind of your opinion of where this conversation was going, like just explore that and follow it. And you'll kind of find different characters as you switch up how you're speaking.
So start off normal?
Yeah,
Just
so you
start
start off at a baseline.
Okay.
So Eric, I really love your backdrop, the gamer backdrop you have created. What is the game? What are some of the? I recognize Inheritance. What are the other games on your top shelf over there?
Sure. So they're not all games, but yes, you see Inheritance. Behind that is Lankmar, the box set. Next to that is the Art and Arcana book that just came out, about all of the old art in old D&D books.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to talk very slowly.
So,
Same conversation, just very slowly.
both of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in Endgame, which I'm very sad about. They are closing their doors soon. Yeah, it's a bummer. I was there the other day and I saw that book there and I was flipping through it. It's gorgeous.
Well, thanks a lot for the compliments, but I want to talk more about Endgame. What is Endgame?
Oh, it's this great local gaming store that has been in the Bay Area for almost 20 years. And their rent has just gone up and up and up. And they finally, I think they were saying they were going to double it next time, and it just finally got too expensive. And so
I want you to go back to your normal speed, but over enunciate. So really over enunciate every syllable.
And so they are shutting down as of February 1st.
Oh, wow. That seems so unfortunate.
It is a major bummer.
Do you have other stores?
There are some great stores in the area. Games of Berkeley, which is now carrying Improv for Gamers.
Okay, so now let's try a little more physical in the face. How about you you suck in your cheeks? You can kind of talk like this with a very small mouth.
This is hard.
I know, it's super hard and it's weird, and everybody is watching us right now.
No, it's not awkward at all.
So all of these things are okay.
I just am pretending I just sucked on a lemon.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
How's that taste? Yeah, so yeah, there's a bunch of gaming stores here actually. Bay Area is a haven for lemon sucking. Wait, for gaming stores.
For gaming stores. Well, that's good then. But well, that man, that stinks. That you must have really liked that store.
Yeah, it's where I met Karen, and I played my very first game with her, which is Agon, and we were both big old Greek heroes. We're pretty cool.
Oh, that must have been in what, 300 AD? How old are you now?
Yeah, I'm about
I'll pause you guys on that. Let's try one other physical one, which is you kind of talk through your teeth. So you just show a lot of teeth and talk through your teeth.
Yeah. I don't like to talk. You're not supposed to talk about how old people are. So it was a while ago.
Well, I'm a streamer and I have to be edgy, you know.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear yous. I hear yous. But yeah, we also it's where I started Good Omens Con, which was a little one day con that turned into Big Bad Con. So yeah, I got lots of feels for this place.
Yeah. Sure sounds that way. Tell me a little bit more about Big Bad Con and
Oh yeah. Oh, Big Bad
how
Con.
did it get its name?
Oh, that's a good question.
So I'm gonna pause you there, and we could switch to emotions, and I'm gonna give you the emotion suspicious.
Why do you ask? Is it a weird name?
It's certainly a peculiar name for a gaming convention.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. Came from my kids. I was brainstorming names and I couldn't think of a good one to save my life.
Hmm.
And so one of them said Monkey Con because she really likes monkeys. And I was just really looking for something other than that because I really didn't want to call it Monkey Con. The other one said Big Bad Con. I was like, wolves, Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, I could be about that, I guess. Yeah.
Do you typically outsource your creative ideas to your kids? Do you always participate in child creative labor?
I'm gonna give you one last emotion, which is satisfied. Satisfied.
I'm really proud of this. I'm very happy that my kids thought of that name, and it hasn't always rung as true to the con as I wanted. But the fact that the con has just become a really important thing for a lot of people, I'm really happy with it.
You know, I think I am too. I've only I've only been a few times, aka one time now, and it's definitely felt like it's been getting bigger, but it definitely has not felt like it's been getting badder. Unless bad in a good kind of bad.
Yeah. I like to think that it's bad in a good kind of way, and and it was bigger and badder this year because it had EricVulgaris there. It's cool. Eric was not only attending but also working the Heart of the Deernicorn booth, so it's cool seeing him help out with the con too.
And scene.
Nice.
All right, that was amazing, and thank you guys so much for doing that because it's not easy.
That wasn't easy.
It's a weird, very intentional, strange skill practice. So how did it feel?
It was a little nervous. I found that I was having to rely on like I had to. You couldn't see it on camera, but like I'm fidgeting with things in my hands because it helps me maintain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever helps.
Yeah. I found I almost kind of had to, with some of them, I sort of had to adopt a kind of talking style, like with the teeth. It's like, yeah, how's the wise guy, right? Like,
yeah, you had a very
because I couldn't do anything else with the teeth like that, right? So just sort of forced that character idea.
You had a really great voice and character voice with that.
Yeah, it's sort of like if you hard constrain yourself with that kind of one or what that one perspective, you tend to follow then the path of least resistance, and that sometimes makes it into accents.
Yeah.
I think it sort of forms the character out of it too, because you're like, well, this is who's going to talk that way, so that's who I am right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially for NPCs, I think it's okay for them to kind of be one note.
Oh, totally. I think it's good for them to be one note. They don't get confused. I mean, we don't have the visual prompts of like a TV show to be like, oh, that person looks like that, sounds like that, etc. It's all coming from one person, one GM maybe. So it's really great to have them very distinct.
But likewise, you can totally take one of these things as an idea and then explore it of like, cool, I'm going to play this character and they're going to maybe be really squinty all the time. And that's going to help me. Again, if I ask if this, then what? My characters are very squinty. Maybe they're distrustful. So maybe they are a little always want to try to find the safest decision. So maybe that it affects their worldview. And then that gets you into your role playing. How do I role play a character like this who's not very trusting and is concerned about safety?
Seems like a really easy way to, like just to quickly onboard yourself into a character.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I like to focus on it's very much a voice, not an accent.
Yeah.
And I love both, but I can't do accents. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure that's the only way to make your characters sound different is to do accents.
Someone was talking earlier in someone was talking earlier in chat about how shows like Critical Role have like this super high production value, and
well, they're amazing.
And they're
voice actors.
They're voice actors. Exactly. That's the thing. It's like that is entertaining, but it's not necessarily a role model for what you should do at your table, right? Like that isn't even going to produce the best game if what you're trying to do is like have that I'm going to be the sticky character, right? Like
it's a lot of pressure.
The game is more enjoyable when you play it from like what's comfortable for you and what's in your like what feels natural to you than trying that like high performance level. So I think it's really good to have these tools that don't involve like, oh, I've got to train up for this or I've got to act in a certain way just to be good enough for the game.
Yeah. What about what if it's not working for you? Like what if the thing you chose is bad? Like for you, it's not really conducting or negative to the group.
Ditch it.
Yeah.
X
don't
yourself out.
To it. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be committed to it. Like you can absolutely decide that you want to do a different thing. And again, like just as your group should be excited about your choices, be very supportive and like, I changed my mind. I don't want to talk that way anymore. Like, cool. I've definitely like X-carded out some of my own ideas from the table because I said it. And then as I thought about it, I was like, actually, no, never mind. I take that back. I don't like that at all. And everyone was like, yeah, okay, cool. It was your idea and you had ownership of it.
Yeah. And I think it's also fair to just like try things out and be like, is that your character? And you're like, no. I'm gonna change the thing, right? Like it's yeah.
And I think we had a Blades game where we had a plan, and then we realized that plan was really taking away an NPC's consent, and we decided to retcon a fair amount of things. And we did, and that was fine because we were like, actually, we don't like where we ended up here.
Right. This got gross, and we didn't like it.
How did we get here?
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good point, is that sometimes we kind of rely on the crutches of cliches, and some of those are very like harmful cliches. And so I think it's great to just sort of in general give ourselves that permission to be flexible in our realities and be like, let's change that up. And I think all of these kind of get you in that mindset of holding on things lightly.
Yeah. Especially
I was gonna say, I mean, isn't a lot of our goal to just be to have a good time, to have fun and tell a good story? And so we should be able to edit ourselves.
I was just gonna remark, a big thing for me that's like that comes in a lot for me with tropes and stereotypes is gender and like performative roles in gender. And just being like, actually, and like, I know I've seen you do this, Sean, and I love it. Is that like you go like, and he is actually, you know what? No, it's a girl. She, and like you just immediately like you recognize it. You know, like whatever sort of like trope, profession or something, like kind of style. It just you're like, no, it'd be better if it was the other way. And you're like, let's do it that way. And I've seen other people do it. And I love that recognition of a trope, being like, actually, it would be better if we broke that trope a little bit.
Well, it's also great mindfulness to, if you notice the balance of gender diversity in a game, if your default is to always introduce NPCs that are a particular gender, to be mindful and make the decision to switch it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So, do you guys want to do something that's not in the book?
What?
There's so much. I know this is not all the improv. It's a lot, but it's not all of it. It kind of breaks my heart because there are so many good exercises that I didn't put in there. Some because I didn't think about it at the time. And I'm also always still learning really fun exercises from other improvisers. I still go to classes and I perform with different people. And I'm always asking people like, what's your favorite game? And trying to collect things. So I learned something earlier this year, just after we had kind of sent the book to the point where I had to stop making edits to it. And I was like, this is great. Because it's all about confidence and justification. And it's that kind of idea of you as a player don't have to be as smart as your character. Like, you don't have to know the things that your character knows. And it takes a lot of performative and like thought intellectual pressure off. If you're playing a heist game, your hacker character doesn't actually, like, you don't have to know how computers work at all. You have dice that tell you if it works out or not. And you can say, I do an amazing hacking thing. Like, I'm sorry guys. I don't know what it is, but I do some hacky thing and we're going to see how that goes. Or when in our Pathfinder campaign, we had a lot of diplomacy rolls, like so many diplomacy rolls. And I had a character who, much like me, was not great at diplomacy. Like, I, as a person, did not always know what was the most eloquent, thought-provoking argument to make. But I tried to play her as honest as I could, and she would make very impassionate pleas, and then we would roll diplomacy and it would work or it wouldn't work. And sometimes I didn't know what to say. And so I would maybe break down a little bit and just say, I might just narrate it and say, she's going to give a very passionate plea to help. And we roll it. Hey, she did. Great. Like, pressure's off me of like actually scripting that out, because that's not as important as like the plot moving forward.
Yeah.
So there's this game called Crisis, which I love because you just get to establish things that are true and be confident and say, this thing will work because I said it would. And so it's part of this great ability of world building, of to just establish that this is how our world works. So it's another kind of pair game, and it's also fun because you kind of get to break an improv rule and pre-script a little bit. So each person is going to think of a problem and an unrelated object. So I'm going to say, since Eric and Sean were doing so much work, that Kika, you and I should model this first. So I would say, Kika, I've got a hole in my boat, and all I have is this wooden IKEA hanger. And I want you to also give a problem and an unrelated object.
The president is on fire and all I have are potato chips.
Fantastic. So I'm going to say how my object is going to fix your problem. And I'm going to just declare it with confidence. Oh, well, I am going to suck all of the fire into this wooden hanger that will catch fire instead. And then the fire will leave the president and I will have saved them, because clearly in this world, the president is worth saving. So how is your object going to fix my problem? My problem was a hole in the boat.
I'm going to feed my potato chips to your boat until it gains weight so that the hole closes.
Brilliant. So these are both like had a weird fantasy element of fire can move off of one thing to another, and a boat can eat things and gain weight. And we just said that those were true, and it worked. Our problems were solved. Hooray. And that is it. That is the whole exercise, is you have problem, object, you fix the other things, and you're done. And you just declare why it works. So why don't we, Sean and Eric, why don't you guys try?
Sure. Okay. I've got all these unpaid parking tickets. I have all these unpaid parking tickets, and all I've got is a Subway sandwich.
All right. I have a detuned guitar, and all I have is a scorpion.
Well, you know that I know that the wrapper from a Subway sandwich is the perfect amount. It's perfect for wrapping around guitar strings and getting them to play just right.
Cool. It works. It works because Sean said it works.
It works because I said it works.
This scorpion went to law school and is great for small claims court.
Nice. Yay, scorpion friend.
Yay.
Awesome. Should we do it again?
Yeah. Eric, why don't you go first, and I'll be your partner on this one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my problem is it is my parents' birthday and I didn't get them a gift.
What is your object?
And all I have is a bucket of shrimp.
Oh no. I owe a lot of money in back taxes, and all I have is a jaunty hat.
Well, obviously I can fix the problem of the back taxes by running a huge gumbo charity event with all of the shrimp.
Fantastic. And I will give you this jaunty hat, and you can give it as a present to your parents.
Nice.
Problem solved.
Yay.
All right, Kika, I am hanging from a ledge, and all I have is this fishing pole.
My kid won't stop vaping, and all I have is a bucket of bees.
Your kid won't start wedding?
Stop vaping.
Vaping. Nice.
Well, the problem with kids these days is they just don't have any good role models. So I will take your kid out fishing to give them something else to do.
And I will tie this bucket of bees to your back, and they will lift you up off this ledge.
Yeah.
There you go. Yay. So
problem solved.
Yeah, I think it's another great game that goes back to confidence and also just justification of being able to establish truths in how things in your world work.
Classic cast.
Classic cast.
This game needs a line ending, like crisis averted or something.
Yeah, I think when we played it, we called it 3-line crisis, even though it was 4 lines. Because we had been playing another game called 3-Line Scenes forever. I don't know. Every game benefits from having a chant at the end. I find to really punctuate it. Cool. So Crisis is not in the book, but it is something that I have started working into my workshops because I find it a great one. And there's so much good improv.
Nice.
I
Roger
recommend.
Has the advice of call this game "Good job, MacGyver."
Yeah. I encourage everybody to take an improv class, but also like it's okay to shop around your improv theaters because different theaters have different agendas on the type of improv that they promote. Some might be more drama or more comedy or long form or short form, or they might be more blue, or they might be more holistic, and those are different things that they're going for. And so I am really excited to be able to teach these workshops that are like specifically for gamers, as opposed to going to improv classes and then trying to pull away like what works for you from all the other things that you're doing in there, which may not be relevant to your hobby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me an example of some of games like at a local theater? Like what like would be not really like for gamers? Because I have a hard time thinking about something that can't be ultimately like I can see how this is helpful.
I mean, I think ultimately all of it, there's a lot more like little tips and tricks to remember that are more useful when you are physically on a stage,
Okay.
of how to cheat out, how to deliver lines there. But then a lot of that also falls into LARP specific skills, space object work, which is miming. Using invisible objects is super helpful for LARPing, like in your black box LARPs where you don't have any props and you need to imagine invisible things, is super useful. But I think mostly there's just the difference of oftentimes there's like finding the game, which is, again, it's a great skill to have as a storytelling skill, but that's something that you might do more for the benefit of the audience. I don't know. There's kind of thinking about like, who are you doing this for? Are you doing this to entertain an audience? Or are you trying to like find a funny thing?
Mhm.
Or are you trying to build a story? And I mean, it really, yeah, it really, there's so much that really is applicable, but is not always like through the lens of gaming.
Yeah, nice.
That makes sense. Yeah, about the stage and objects and props.
Perhaps. Yeah.
So I know that we haven't really mentioned this at all before, but Karen, if we played a couple improv games tonight, but if people wanted to play like more of these improv games, where could they learn about them?
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, definitely, again, I said I'm a kinesthetic learner, and I think experiential learning is so important. So we can talk, and model these things for you, but you should just go and like physically try it yourself. So either find an improv class or buy my book and pick up some exercises. And try one or two out. Again, a lot of them are like the ones that we played here that are very low pressure, just like kind of focusing on one skill at a time, group exercises. And you can just play them, as you feel like. There's no real order in the book of like how you need to go through them. You can jump around from different skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's stuff on, there's just like some fun and easy warmers, but then there's also things about like, what is yes and so exercises that you can more interpret as that, or character work like the voices that we did, relationships like You Make Me Feel. There's some really fun exercises on status and who has the power in the relationship and shifting that back and forth so we aren't all trying really hard to win and be the one unflappable character. There's space object work about miming, and also really good GMing specific skills of timing and when to cut scenes and when to kind of feel the good parts of how to direct multiple scenes. So there's good practice on that as well. And then if you want to do kind of more actual acting scene work, there's some stuff that you can kind of like finish off if you're feeling particularly bold. But yeah, I hope people pick up this book and they play the games from it and they learn one thing that then they can apply to their game that enhances it somehow for them. It's very much like I really want people to kind of just take what works for them and not feel like they have to be doing all of these things, because there's so many styles of improv and there's so many styles of gaming and there's no one right way. And I am definitely not trying to tell you like what the right way is.
I think that voice game was like a great example of like, here's the thing that like really worked for me, and here's the thing that like didn't work at all.
Yeah, like try all the different voices and then find the few that you like, that you're comfortable with, and don't worry about the ones that you didn't like. Never do those again. That's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
How did things feel for everyone else? in these last 2 hours. God, we've done a lot in 2 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the time doesn't feel like it's been 2 hours.
Yeah, it flew by.
Yeah, I feel like we should be playing more games.
So
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
why
feeling
don't
much
we
better
wrap?
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up. Let's go in reverse order of announcing then, if we remember.
Sounds good. I still see it in Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Eric, and thanks for running all these games, Karen. I'm Sean. I use he him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter as at Sean Nittner, and you can find me on the Twitches at Actual Play.
Yeah.
I'm Karen 12s. My pronouns are she, her. I'm on Twitter at K12s. And yeah, I do a lot of improv and I do a lot of gaming. And I like when that Venn diagram is mostly a circle.
Hi, I'm Kika. You can find me at twitter.com/KikaVO, she, her, and I mostly just do a lot of playing in a lot of cool games with cool people because I don't have time for not cool people.
Smart. Good
That's
choice.
a really good decision. It's a good worldview.
Absolutely. And yeah, and then this has been my channel. I'm Eric. Here they pronouns. I'm EricVulgaris everywhere. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you seriously for coming on the stream and showing us the coolness of this game, all these different games, and all this stuff that whole improv can help us.
Mm-hmm.
And so from our hearts to yours, chat. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Seriously, thanks for the good questions. I'm glad you were able to stick around, and yeah, go pick up the book. It's available now on Evil Hat. I've linked it a few times in chat.
Mm-hmm.
And
call your friendly local gaming store and tell them to stock it, please.
Yeah, do that.
Also rope your friends into playing the games from it so that they can get better, and then they'll also want to buy the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just run more games, play more games.
Yeah, play more games.
Also, just play more games and have fun.
Yeah.
Not necessarily my games, but just like be better gamers.
Yeah, St. Card said they saw it in San Diego at Game Empire in San Diego. So
Yes.
how cool is that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, everybody, we're out of here. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Okay.